What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Friday, February 28th, 2025, the last Friday of the month and the last day of Black History Month. So you know how I started it earlier in the day. I had to finish it off in the evening. So yes, y'all are getting two triple P's today. I'm glad y'all enjoyed the one this morning. I'm sure y'all are going to enjoy the one this evening. But before we get into all of that, make sure if you haven't done so already to please hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. And if you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you are here. Hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. And if any reason you do not get a notification, make sure to join the Discord and you should be able to get notified in there. And then that's where some of the other family is at as well. We have different servers and tabs where people are posting links to news articles and other different things. A lot of stuff that gets posted in there I do talk about on here, or it's on my Patreon if it's a little too extreme for YouTube. So before we get into everything, let me go ahead and shout out the people who are here so far in the chat, or people who left comments earlier. We got Wallow J, Firebat, Isaac, Brooklyn Queen, Hurricane Nisi, Dimple Face, Seven, Sovereign Black, RD, Cosma, Brother Man to You, Andre, Carla, Eddie Foster, Neo Panther, Mr. Lone Wolf, Cold Red. Who else we got in here? Sybil, Letitia, Val. Oh, we got the Trouble Mint twins here in the building today. And Dark Titan just came in here. All right, so yeah, the farmers are feeling it, y'all. The farmers who voted for Trump are feeling it right now, and they don't know what to do. But all of the stuff that we're going to go over today is going to be video based. So I don't have any articles to read. We're just gonna I actually had to cover it up a little, cover it, because I didn't know how the copyright was going to work, but you'll be able to hear it. Now, one of the videos is actually pulled from TikTok, so you'll be able to see that one, but two of them you won't be able to see, but you'll be able to hear it. And I see my digital auntie just came in here. Shout out to you, Moochie. We got Dewani just came in here. We got Sun Goddess is just popped up in the chat. We have Asiatic Black in here. Shout out to everybody. But let's go ahead and get into this video. It's three videos. I just combined them all in one video instead of having to pull up three different clips. So let's see what they're talking about on here. And the first clip, by the way, is coming from the Fox Business channel.
To our farmers, fair trade comes at a cost, and despite concerns of a prolonged trade war, America's rural communities have weathered the impact of tariffs before. President Trump sounded optimistic on America's agricultural future.
Well, the farmers are going to be helped greatly. Yeah, the farmers are going to be helped greatly because they're not going to be dumping everything into our country. This will be a great bill for farmers. And in terms of retaliation, if they retaliate, it's, as I said, it's reciprocal. So if they raise it a little bit, then we raise it automatically. So I don't think it helps for them to retaliate. But also remember this, they can't really retaliate because we're the piggy bank. We're the piggy bank. But if we don't do this, we won't be the piggy bank for long. We won't be much of a country.
Yeah. Now, let me just preface this right quick. This audio that you're hearing, this was before they felt the burn. This clip actually went up about a week, not a week ago, but a week before they started to feel the effects of these tariffs. So when he's talking about what he's saying right here, it sounds very past tense. That's because it is. This was before they started to complain. But this was before they started to realize what was about to happen.
And it's worth remembering that the Trump administration spent well over $20 billion all to support farmers during the president's first term. Joining us now, Farmers and Ranchers for Trump co-chair Kip Tom. Hey, Kip, great to have you here. Right to it. the fear and loathing that's being pushed and all about making people angry or upset. Is it working with the farmers? Let's talk industry.
Well, for the better part of the last year, I've been traveling the United States with the Farmers and Ranchers Coalition for Trump and talking to farmers, talking in rural communities. And I can tell you that people looking back, looking at the Biden-Harris administration, they know that we saw farm income over a 2-year period drop nearly 42%. We saw our trade surplus of nearly $32 billion go to a $42 billion deficit. So what was going on, what was being done in the past certainly didn't work. And people said, let's get President Trump at the table to negotiate for us and bring a trade deal to the United States with all these different countries. Are farmers uneasy? Yes, they are. But I think they've got faith. We saw nearly 70% of rural America voted for President Trump.
And guess what? That's the part of America that's feeling it. That's the part of America right now that is going to feel it the most. Is rural America. Listen, we can sift through the code speak. Whenever they say rural, we know exactly what they're talking about.
That tells me they got confidence in him creating a trade deal with whether it's China, Mexico, or Canada, or any other nation around the world.
Kip, if I may, let's move on to some of the other fears in the agriculture industry. Liberals' Trump derangement syndrome over deportations has infected some of the farmers, leaving one Wisconsin dairy farmer crying, quote, "If there's no immigrant labor, there's no milk, no cheese, no butter, no ice cream. We'll all have to go vegan." We didn't have a problem when the rules were being adhered in the Trump administration's first term, and we had everything that we needed in agriculture.
And that's the thing right there. They thought that, here's the thing. A lot of them really thought, and I don't know why anyone would think that, because this never happened in the history of any presidency. I don't know why they thought they were going to get the same Trump of the first term the second time. Never in the history of presidency has a president done the same thing in their first term that they did in their second term had they been reelected. And then on top of that, Trump got elected in 2016 and was out by 2021. He didn't get reelected consecutively a second time. There was a 4-year gap in between the first term and the term he's doing right now. A lot has changed since 8 years ago. I don't know why any of them would have a thought in their mind that he would be the same person then as he is now.
It is different now. The illegals, this is a myth that it's the illegals who are farming and doing all the agriculture in this country. They weren't working.
Well, we've had a problem getting workers in the agriculture industry, whether it's harvesting vegetables in the valley in California, working in our dairies, working in our meat processing plants, and many other places around the country. So we really hope that the president can come up with an effective an effective law that makes sure that we can bring in those migrants to come in and do some of that work. We need them.
Oh, wait, say it again. What did he say? And before I go any further, shout out to Kevin Wedderburn for becoming a member of the channel. I have to rewind that part because I want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Country. So we really hope that the president can come up with an effective an effective law that makes sure that we can bring in those migrants to come in and do some of that work. We need.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all please put a 1 in the chat if you heard what this man just said? Because I know my ears weren't closed when I heard that. I got a little bit distracted because I wanted to acknowledge the new member. But did y'all hear that? He said we were hoping that Trump would put something into effect that would allow migrants here to basically help farm the land. But weren't y'all the ones that voted for him to get rid of get rid of these illegals and do deportation? Man, they tell on themselves let me play that one more time.
Getting workers in the agriculture industry, whether it's harvesting vegetables in the valley in California, working in our dairies, working in our meat processing plants, and many other places around the country. So we really hope that the president can come up with an effective an effective law that makes sure that we can bring in those migrants to come in and do some of that work. We need them.
Bring in those migrants because we what? Need them. So on one hand, you wanted to get rid of them, but now you just basically told us that you need them. Y'all, we like in the words of KG, he not in the chat right now. We're gonna have fun tonight. Let it continue playing.
But at the same time, they need to go through the legal process to make sure they're here on the right terms. Anyone that's in here illegally.
Now, let's be real here. A lot of those migrants that he's talking about that they need and everything like that probably didn't even go through the legal process. They didn't care about no legal process as long as they were helping them out, as long as they were benefiting from it. But now you want to talk about a process they need to go through. If you don't get out of here with that, I bet you a lot of the migrants that were working for these individuals were not here legally. I'm telling you, eventually things will spill out. They will eventually reveal themselves over time. Y'all know how we always say FAFO? Well, we are in the FO portion of the segment. They're finding out right now. They already did the FA part. Now we're in the FO, and many of them are in that stage. Either they don't realize it or they're going to come to realize
it. Especially those that are felons, committed acts of crime against the United States or in other countries, we need to deport them immediately.
All right, that's great. And by the
you'll be deporting your workers. Let's be real. He ain't going to say that. You'll be deporting your workers.
way, only 1% of illegals an estimated work in AGRA.
Right.
Plus, the president supports a robust work visa program, which of course would help you, Kip. Thank you.
But some.
Okay, so that was the first video right there. Now this next one is the TikTok video. I want y'all to listen to what these farmers are going to say on this video. If y'all thought the guy talking about the migrants staying here, or for Trump to pass some kind of a law to make them stay, wait till y'all hear what they got to say in this TikTok video.
Which of course would help you, Kip. Thank you.
But some folks who aren't feeling Trump's optimism right now are American farmers, and they are stuck in the middle of all of this.
Frank, who did you vote for president?
Mr. Trump.
Right?
Trump. Mr. Trump.
If the election were today, Frank, would you vote for Donald Trump?
No way. Couldn't happen. No.
Look at that turnaround. So they have a whole organization called Farmers for Trump, and I'm willing to bet all the Farmers for Trump look just like these three dudes. And the guy asked them, who did you vote for? And all of them said Trump. And he said, if you could have a turnaround today, would you still vote for him? And all of them said no. Because now they're feeling it. They're feeling it. And we told them this was going to happen. This is why the best seat in the House to have was the one on the independent couch. They tried to clown us about that couch.
You voted for President Trump. So now, in this moment, you say you're in a free fall. What is your message to him?
So I'm off the Trump train.
He said he's off the Trump train. He said that train has derailed. That thing is gone.
Where I'm going for now is I got to protect my business.
Island, a wheat farmer who says he's lost $400,000 since Trump took office.
Woo! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? This guy said he lost $400,000 since Trump took office. Now let's do some numbers here, y'all. Trump got inaugurated on January 20th. It is now February 28th. He's only been in for a month and about a week. And this farmer lost $400,000 in a month, which tells me he's never lost that much money before. And in business is always going to be a loss. But $400,000, you're talking about almost $500,000 that you lost. But guess what? We feel absolutely nothing. Continue.
I think there was a lot of people who voted for him that want to stay loyal to him, but it's going to get to the point where financially.
And that's where he messed up. Let me go back and play that part again. This is where many of them mess up at.
Dollars since Trump took office.
I think there was a lot of people who voted for him that want to stay loyal to him.
Look, you hear what he just said? He said, I think there was a lot of people that voted for him that stayed loyal to him. And that's the thing right here. This is how you know a lot of people don't know too much about when it comes to politics and even just basic common sense. Now, I'm not the most politically savvy person because I tend to stay in my lane, but you never, ever, ever want to put blind loyalty into anybody, especially these politicians. Again, many of them went into this election thinking they were going to get the same Trump from 2016, 2017, the first term. That's what they thought they were going to get. Again, they played themselves. That's their fault.
But it's going to get to the point where financially, if it's between supporting the president or losing your family farm.
You voted for the president?
Yes, I did.
And do you support these policies which might be hurting farmers like you?
Right now, we're the ones that are taking the hit.
I think he's sort of backstabbing the main people who got him into office in the Midwest, and he just left us down.
Let me tell you something here. You want to know what all them farmers heard? They heard the same thing a lot of them other ones heard. Deportation, DEI, black people. They heard that. They didn't sift through the small fine print that was written possibly in invisible ink. They heard all of that. And meanwhile, this dude practically is robbing them blind. What did Lyndon B. Johnson say? We all know what he said about us. But what did he say about them? About, if I can convince the poorest white man that he's better than the richest or wealthiest black man, I can pick his pockets or something like that, and he won't even realize I'm just paraphrasing it. That is a quote right there that would apply to all of these farmers. Like they said before, you were only a vote. We got out of you what we wanted, and now we're about to show you what the game really about to look like. Okay, so that's the TikTok video. Now, this last video is about, this last clip, audio, is about 8 minutes long. It's the longest part of the whole thing. Now, this is the more recent one where they're talking to different farmers, and well, you're gonna hear the grievances. As a matter of fact, I wish it was one clip that I really, really wanted because I saw it, but I couldn't find it online to save my life. But it was one of these farmers out here that even went as far as to say that if they could go back, they would take their vote back and give it to Kamala Harris. Like they actually said it. But let's continue.
In the last two presidential elections, farmers voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. But now some farmers are saying his efforts to cut the government are causing major financial pressure. William Brangham has more.
Jeff, two of the biggest changes affecting farmers are a freeze on some USDA programs and a near shutdown of spending by USAID, which buys about $2 billion of products from farmers every year. About 40% of the government's food assistance comes from American farms. Others say they're on the hook for contracts for renewable energy equipment that the government promised to help with. We talked to several people in this field. A flower farmer, a beekeeper, a produce farmer, and the CEO of a nonprofit that delivers food aid to children in Haiti.
Slowly, we've figured out that we've lost about a quarter to a third of our funding, and we have.
This person just said they found out they lost about a quarter to a third of their funding behind this. Money that's given to them. They lost it. Interesting.
I have no sense of whether some of those pauses are permanent or temporary or when that money can or will come in.
We've worked with USAID in several capacities in the past, usually through key partnerships we have on the ground in Haiti. And so with the absence of that, it really sets things back significantly.
If it goes past the next couple of weeks, we're really going to be in a tight spot. We're really probably going to have to either add more debt to our mortgage, or we're going to have to seriously consider closing up shop and not operating.
We received a grant from the government about a year ago, and that's when we signed this contract for a solar panel system on our new barn. We still owe about $36,000 to the solar company that was supposed to come from the government. We never would have signed a contract with the government for these solar panels if we thought we'd be paying the full amount.
We're looking about $40,000 in losses, and then about $20,000 in additional income we won't be able to make, so about $60,000 in loss as we calculate it right now, and then about $115,000 in potential grant funds that we now know we won't be receiving for 2025.
If this never goes through, we would look to lose about 45,000, and the impacts for us would be pretty detrimental. We're one of the larger winter grain growers in Maine, so we grow a lot of spinach, kale, and chard this time of year that helps them stock their shelves with fresh produce this time of year that can be hard to get in Maine. So what that means for them is they're going to run out of a supplier to have those options.
When funding that is dependent on at this level is cut and cut so quickly, we underestimate the impact that it makes throughout the world and the potential lives that may be lost and the talent that may be lost.
The fact that this business I've been building for 7 years, this career I've been building for 12, is now under attack by the people in the executive branch of the.
Before I go any further, I'm gonna address. It was something that someone said in the chat, and I'll just add on to that. Where was all of this when the Black Farmers Association was facing a lot of scrutiny? And let me just say this. From what I'm gathering so far, it doesn't look like the Black Farmers Association are extending the olive branch. Good. Keep it that way. The Black farmers, y'all got your own issues going on separate of this. Stick to what y'all got going on and let them handle them. Because when the Black farmers was going through what they was going through, where were they at? They were doing fine and they didn't care. They didn't say nothing. Now that they're going through it, let them deal with it on their own. Notice that a lot of them recently, and not just them, the rural farmers, we'll just call it that. Now you notice a lot of them are trying to reach back to us with their hands extended out, with them greasy palms, looking for us to help them out. I'm sorry, but the counter is closed. The register is locked. Them doors are shut. So now y'all are on your own. You got to do for self. Good luck and Godspeed.
Federal government who are supposed to look out for American interests and are instead looking out for the interests of the 1%.
Already, farmers are shrinking their businesses, and I'm really afraid about the future of farming if all these programs just go away.
For some further perspective on all of this, we are joined now by Nick Lewandowski. He's the executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union. Nick, thank you so much for being here. You heard all of those complaints that people are making about the way in which this federal cost cutting is unfolding and impacting them. How common is that to what you're hearing from your own members?
It's very common, William, and thank you for having me, and thank you for covering this important topic. I've had conversations here over the last couple weeks now with members and farmers all across Kansas and frankly all across the country through the connections I have with National Farmers Union. And there is great concern all across the country, and it just adds more uncertainty to an already uncertain situation.
For people who may have been somewhat surprised that there was this connection between American farmers and USAID, can you sort of explain that broader mechanism, how it works?
Yeah, well, we take great pride in especially a certain part of USAID, the Food for Peace program here in Kansas. It was born here back in 1953, signed into law by another great Kansan, Dwight D. Eisenhower, in 1954. And it was brought about because we had a glut of commodities or grain crops here in the U.S. We were producing more than we needed and could consume. But there were also places all over the world, especially in Europe, that was just recovering from World War II. So we were sending those products over there. And since then, that program has fed upwards of 4 billion people in the 70-some years that it has been in existence. But farmers grow the crops here in Kansas, and they deliver that product to those places all across the world.
I mean, in addition to those financial stresses, there's also some other looming things coming down the road. I mean, there's inflation that they're obviously dealing with, commodities prices, et cetera. How much cushion do farmers have to weather this financial storm?
There's very little cushion. You mentioned
very little cushion, aka they about to fall through that thing. That thing is fragile. The minute they sit on that cushion, that thing is flattened. It's probably more secure to lay on an air mattress than on the cushion of whatever they got going on over there. Listen, I'm telling you, this is what they voted for. Like I said, they didn't read the fine print. But that also goes back to how people treated this election. I told people, I said they treated this like it was a high school superlative. I'm sure all of y'all remember them high school superlatives that started off with most likely to. That was nothing more than a popularity contest. I remember because that's how it was when I was in high school. You know, and that's fun for a high school, but when it comes to an election or politics, you're not supposed to do that. And I see it all the time when I'm looking at how some of them be carrying on all over Twitter, especially. I'm like, y'all have no idea what y'all are in store for. But you're going to find out one way or another.
The cuts that are happening, the freezes and all of those things. But those high cost inputs are what's really hurting right now. The seed, the chemicals, the fertilizers, the fuel that is needed, farm equipment is extremely expensive, and bankers are not loaning out tons of money to farmers right now. In fact, bankers are pulling back.
Oh, you heard that. He just said bankers are not loaning out a lot of money to farmers right now. As a matter of fact, they're pulling money back. So the farmers aren't getting anything. That's why they're talking about all this massive amount of money that they have to pay, because they were basically getting loans and all types of stuff from the banks. And now that the banks are pulling back, either the banks are giving them very little money or they're not giving them anything, but the bank is making sure to take money from them. This is playing out like a game of Monopoly.
And then you throw in the idea of more tariffs, a trade war, and then the cuts to positions at USDA just at the end of last week. Crucial positions in the Farm Service Agency offices, the NRCS offices that are all over the country. These are folks who are integral to American agriculture, and those positions are now gone, and people that were working in those offices have now had to pick up more of the slack.
We asked the White House.
Oh, boo-hoo. Isn't that your farm? Shouldn't you want to work the land? Only you know how it functions. But that goes back to that first piece that I was telling you about with the guy saying about the migrants and how he wished that Trump could install some kind of a law to keep them here. But according to him, not the illegal ones. Please. You know that the illegal ones was the ones working that land. Talking about they got to go through the process. If they had to go through the process, let's hypothetically say all of them had to go through the process of becoming a citizen and whatnot. That means that's longer they're away from doing their job. Unless you have them still working for you while they're going through the process.
House about some of these criticisms, and this is the statement that they gave us. They wrote, "The Biden administration crushed American agriculture with regulatory uncertainty, crippling inflation, trade imbalances, and radical environmental policies. Thankfully, President Trump is already delivering relief by unleashing American energy and cutting 10 regulations for every new regulation. He will continue to make all agencies more efficient to better serve the American people, including our hardworking farmers." I mean, the White House is arguing, in essence, that they were elected to do this and that these policies are what what the American public more broadly want. How true is that for your members?
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot of truth to their statement. Blaming the past administration, I think, is an odd way to go. If you're in charge now, it's your job to take this on. I would say, though, that there are a lot of people who are very concerned out there who voted for this administration. But they wrote it all down in Project 2025. I guess we should have paid a little closer attention to what was in that.
Oh, y'all heard that? Y'all. Did y'all hear what he just said? Let me play that part again. Let me play it again.
Turned out there who voted for this administration. But they wrote it all down in Project 2025. I guess we should have paid a little closer attention to what was in that.
So that just tells me that they don't read. I guess we should have paid a little bit more closer to what was in that.
I read the agriculture section. I know it better than I probably should. But it was there. It was all in writing. We probably should have paid closer attention to it. I'll just say this. I think it's time for this administration to recognize who put them into office, and also to understand that these people are hurting, and this only adds to the hurt that they're already dealing with.
All right, Nick Lewandowski of the Kansas Farmers Union. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your time.
Okay, so there's that. So actually, I thought I was going to be done after this video clip right here, but what I did was, while that was going on, I actually went to Google and typed into the news tab, and I'm gonna remove that from the screen, and I'm gonna show y'all what happened when I went to Google and typed in Trump farmers. Let me zoom in a little bit so y'all can see it. So I typed in Trump farmers right here. One article says, farmer says Trump's actions have changed the landscape just as he has to plant. Maine, and all of this stuff came out this week. Some came out today. Maine farmers brace for impact as promised federal money remains frozen. Farmers sue USDA after agency deletes climate change data. Trump admin to invest in biosecurity financial relief for farmers to combat egg shortages. Farmers hit by Trump federal funding freeze scramble to respond ahead of spring. As Trump admin cuts funding, lays off USDA staff, Colorado farmers and ranchers feel the hit. Farmers brace for impact as Trump plans to move forward with new tariffs. I don't have a plan B. SC farmers threatened by federal funding freeze face uncertainty. Amid Trump threats to deport workers, Wisconsin and Minnesota dairy farmers travel to Mexico. So on and so forth. I think y'all pretty much get the gist of it. It's looking real spooky out here. It's looking real spooky out here. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, y'all know what time it is. I have dropped the link in the chat. If anybody would like to come up and speak to this, feel free to go right on ahead. Let me get my timer together. Y'all know it's a 2-minute time limit. And shout out to the people that's in the chat. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, to please be sure to go ahead and hit the like button. I appreciate it. All right, the first person we got coming up is, hold on, Wallow. What's going on?
What's going on, Tony? What's going on, everybody in the chat? Oh yeah, they definitely missing that migrant help because they know Americans are not going to go out there and do that work. I know that personally because I have family. Well, not my family, but I know, like, in my county, like, I will always drive through. Was always Mexicans working on fields. We had tobacco, wheat. Well, they worked the tobacco field mostly. But we had tobacco, corn, wheat, and cotton. Those are like the big four that we had. But all you saw was Mexicans out there all day, every day. And they knew, and they had to know what it was it too. They just couldn't go off anywhere. So they're going to be hurting too. All of them, North Carolina, South Carolina, anybody that had those type of labors, oh yeah, they're going to be hurting this summer. It's going to be a lot of shortages on the shelf. It's going to be just like the pandemic all over again, Tori. I'm telling y'all this, my family, right now. They are going to be hurting, and the grocery stores are going to be hurting. That's what's going to drive a lot of these prices to go up. I know this for a fact, that's how it's going to happen. So, yeah, they fucked themselves over. And I'm going to land my plane there, Tori, and be one.
Be one. Before I bring up the next person, let me acknowledge shout out to Val and Carla, aka the Troublemint Twins, for being members of the channel for a year today. I appreciate it. Well, just a year in general. I appreciate you. And y'all crazy in the chat talking about give Waller the buzzer. See what happened, what you did the last time. That's what caused people to want to troll you now. All right, next up we got Jonathan. What's going on?
What's going on, man? All I have to say is that farmer and I want to help out the black farmer. Man, that's sad because you know when you a farmer, you making those crops, all that, those fruits and vegetables, all those products for your stores. Them farmers can make a lot of money off of that. Everything they grow and everything at the store, crossing it, all that comes from a farmer. So of course they're making big money off of that. And Trump ain't doing nothing about it to stop the government from, stealing, what's rightfully there. So my thing is, that's what you get for trusting Trump, bragging about Trump, and hyping up Trump. Because at the end of the day, all it did was, allow you to fall down. And I'm gonna land my plane right there.
All right. Appreciate you coming up, Jonathan. All right, next up we got Sun Goddess. What's going on?
Man, I think they're called crocodile tears. What they're crying.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
That's what I heard. I what's less than nothing? Like, I feel nothing doesn't work anymore. It's you wanted that man. The man went into office with 34 felonies, and then not a conviction, but he was tried and adjudicated to be like a huckster, and he owes New York $500 million in penalties because he was cheating. And so this fake billionaire, you really thought he cared about you and your Midwestern problems, your farm, your whatever, your health care, your banking. You're getting everything you deserve. Every freaking thing you deserve. And guess what? You have more than 3.5 years more of this wonderful set of policies this evil man has. So all of you, and I call them Trumpettes because I don't even like saying the name Trump, or calling them Trumpers. So the Trumpet, the MAGA Trumpettes, enjoy the concert. That's all I have to say. And
Appreciate
tomorrow I'm gonna send you something because it's blackout. I got paid today. I was gonna send you a little something, but I was like, I can't be on Cash App.
Okay.
But I will Cash App you tomorrow as a
Appreciate
thank you for everything you do. I love your content. Okay, bye.
Bye. Shout out to Sun Goddess for coming up. I believe we got a shout out to KG for being a member for 35 months. That's crazy. He says, maybe you'll listen to On Cold Black People next time. Shout out to the black farmers and their livestock. Exactly. We can't. One thing we can't say is we can't say that we didn't warn them. We forewarned them, and shout out to KG because he been on it for the last couple of years. We warned them, but you can't tell a lot of people. You cannot talk to people who think they know every single thing, because that is literally like talking to a brick wall that has steel lined behind it. Once you get to a person like that, there's no point. It's absolutely no point. Like you're gonna end up looking like the one that's crazy. So, like I said, we are in the find out stage of the game. And many of them are finding out right now as we speak. All right, I see I got another person that's coming up. AW1, what's going on?
What's going on, chat? What's going on, Torian? Yeah, gotta say, you reap what you sow. That's all I can say. I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna leave. Yeah, I gotta thank you, Torian, for being on code and not going with someone that just says one thing that you like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of people do. Yeah, but I'll land there.
All right. Appreciate you coming up. Y'all kill me in the chat. Typing buzzer in the chat. He wasn't even on for a whole minute. That's the lone wolf said that brick wall had the orange Kool-Aid man bust through and say, "Oh yeah." It's funny because I said that because I literally saw it was a Kool-Aid ad that popped up, I think either today or yesterday, and you happen to leave that comment. Shout out to Scoop for the 2. He said, "I'm sitting at work enjoying this. Hey, I'm glad you are finding entertainment in this because I find it quite entertaining as well. I mean, like I said, they were warned. We told them, but they just basically they told us what was it that Laura Ingraham said that LeBron shut up and dribble? Okay. Now y'all are going through it, and I'm talking about going through it, y'all. I mean, I posted up a tweet today. Was it today or yesterday? Where I said, I have a feeling that by the end of this term, MAGA is going to crumble into tiny little pieces. And some people were saying they predict it might crumble before the end of the term. I said, even better. They are losing their minds right now. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw it or saw those images where you had I don't know why they did this, but they had those influencers going to the White House and holding up binders. If you know what I'm talking about. I know KG know what I'm talking about because I think he talked about it yesterday. But they were holding up these binders. And we're sitting here saying to ourselves, like, okay, I suppose. KG said November 2026, MAGA dies. Well, can we hope that it happens before then? Or do we actually have to wait over a year? When I saw them standing outside with them binders in their hand, I said, what is this? And shout out to Church for being a member for 8 months. He says they're getting a very small taste of what black farmers have to deal with, and I love it. I feel nothing, pretty much. KG says I have to wait. Well, I mean, we waited this long to see what the outcome of November 5th was going to be, so I guess let's wait in another year and some change. But that is going to be a glorious one, though. Of course, Val, listen, what have I always said? The motto here is the foundation of every grifter's grift is the degradation of black people, especially black Americans. And now they're realizing that that's not working. They should have been realized it, but, common sense ain't common. KG said they were at Doge headquarters, not the White House. They have a headquarters? Doge has a headquarters? I suppose. And then you got little tiny Terry up there crying about why Laura Looney, I should say, wasn't there. And I got some more words to say about him, but at a later date. I actually recorded the video today, so y'all will see it a little bit later, but it'll be worth the wait. Michael said, in my opinion, because of the stupidity, impatience, and the white man's general mediocrity, I give this till midsummer. Well, we'll see. And shout out to Kevin for not only becoming a member, but also for the super chat. They say, you're correct, Torian. This farming situation has become a game of Monopoly and the game of life. You want to know what's so crazy? I never played Life. That's one board game as a kid that I never played. But appreciate the super chat. Wallow, that wasn't a dream, that was a nightmare. Yes, Miss Nisi, there will be a True Crime Sunday this week. I actually had you'll find out tomorrow on the what used to be the community tab. I don't like calling it post. I like calling the community tab. But that's where it'll be tomorrow. You'll find that I have it set to go up on at 12 noon tomorrow, and you'll find out what the True Crime Sunday topic will be tomorrow, and then of course we'll do it on Sunday. 7 says the only thing I hope that's gained is our checks. Right. That's the black bottom line right there. Yeah, oh yeah, those are great times, Dark Titan, before social media. And it's funny because I was actually looking at a video on Twitter yesterday where someone had posted up a video from back in the early 90s at Cheney University, which is an HBCU, where it was like, it was a bunch of black people out there, and I guess they was having a party or something like that, or some kind of event that required them to be outside. And it was so interesting to look at. I wish I would have bookmarked it because I would have played the video on here. I would have had to mute it, but y'all would have been able to see it for yourself. But they were basically outside. You had the girls playing double dutch. You had the guys, talking to the women and all types of stuff like that. Let me just say, I may have been young in the 90s because I was born in 89. But let me tell you something. I remember going to them afternoon cookouts on a Saturday. And man, those were some great times. Those were some awesome times to be alive. For any kid growing up today in this time and think y'all parties was hitting back in the day, I'm hitting right now, y'all ain't seen nothing until you went to a cookout back in the 90s. That was a whole different vibe back then. That's back when you had to use the camcorder to record stuff. And it was them big gargantuan camcorders that you put on your shoulder to record stuff. Sometimes you did have the one that strapped onto your hand, but those were big too. Like I'm telling you, the kids today have no clue what those cookouts were like back then, or what those birthday parties were like back then. It was just a whole different. Oh, Val, you saw it? Oh, you did see it. Man, that's what I'm mad. I should have bookmarked it. I would have pulled it up so y'all could have seen it. I'm mad I didn't bookmark it. You know what? Let me see if I can go and find it. Because it was like when I saw that, I don't know. It's like I just got a chill. I had got a chill over my body. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that video. Hold on, y'all. I wouldn't even know what to type in if that was the for that video. Oh, I found it, y'all. I found it. Hold on, y'all. Let me move it over here so I can share my screen. Now, like I said, I gotta mute it because it does have copyrighted music in it. But let me go ahead and share the screen right quick so y'all can see it. So yeah, the name of the video was called Life Before Social Media, and this was at Cheney University. So you can look at it and tell that this was back in the 90s. Yep, Val, we on the same page. Life Before Social Media. Hold on, y'all. Like I said, I gotta mute it because of copyright, because they did have some music playing in there. But even with it muted, you can see, look, girls playing double dutch. And even the clothes he wore back then, like that was fashion. That was considered fashion back then. It's just like the air was different back then. The vibes was high, the energy was high. It was nothing but positive energy. Like your dimples are in the hair, yeah. The music, like I said, the 90s was just a golden era. And the thing is, some of the stuff that the guys are wearing in this, I would wear today. And I know some of the ladies in here will wear some of the stuff that's in this video. Y'all would wear it today too. I don't know about the hair, but the clothes, yeah. Shoot, look at overalls. Overalls, that was a 90s thing. And people are still wearing overalls today. Yeah, brother, man. If I was on, this is on Rumble, I would have been able to play with the music. But because I'm on YouTube, I already know how it is. I know looking at this video for some of y'all, this like someone said, this is nostalgic for y'all. It is. Because if you was around back during that time, then you remember these looks. You remember the music and all of that, all that type of stuff. What's going on, PG? My other digital aunties in the building. What's going on? Hey, PG, you remember these times? You remember going to these parties? Well, you was younger too, but yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. Climbing, listen, hold on. Let me run that back right quick. Standing on top of the little platform of the dorm. That's something we used to do when I was in college. And mind you, I went to college from 07 to 2011. And I remember we had a block party where where it was like for the SGA, Student Government Association, and we had a block party right there in the little walk area. And man, listen, what a time that was. And I think that was back in 2010. So you're talking 15 years ago. Seems so long ago. But yeah, this was just a great time. It was a lovely time. Sometimes I find myself going on YouTube and looking up videos like this from back in the day, like at HBCUs, just to see what that was like and be like, wow. Amazing. PG said I was a kid, but this gets Freaknik before it got freaky. Well, actually, PG, this wasn't even at Freaknik. This was just at this was at just Cheney University. I guess they were, like I said, they were just having a party. I'm not even going to lie. Hold on. I have to rewind it back right quick. I'm not even going to lie. Her right here, I thought that was Aaliyah at first. And shout out to Ozzy for the 29 months. He said the 90s, I was in my mid-teens. Shout out to all the people that was in their pre-teens, mid-teens, or even adult years in the 90s. But I'm not even gonna lie, I thought that was Aaliyah because that's a whole Aaliyah look right there. Oh, nah, I wouldn't put nothing up here from no Freaknik. I'm not putting nothing up here from no Freaknik. Dimpleface said in the 90s, I said I was in my 20s. So yeah, you remember this. You definitely remember. See, like I said, I was born in 89. So from 89, 99, that's just pretty much the decade. So for me, the 90s was from age 1 to age 10. But I do remember those times. Moochie said early 20. Y'all let me know in the chat, how old were y'all in the 90s? So because I'm seeing Dimpleface said 20s, someone said mid-teens, Moochie said early 20s. Like I said, for me, I was young. I was, still a minor, age 1 to 10. Oh, AW1, I have looked up the early 2000s. I did. Like I looked up 2000, 2001. Now it's crazy because it's funny because I can definitely remember that because like at that time I was starting to, I was going into my preteen, teenage years. And I pulled up 2003. And that was my freshman year of high school. I was 14. And I'm looking like, wow, we actually dressed like that back then. Again, that was still before. The only social media we had back then was Black Planet, Facebook and MySpace. And even then, you still had to be on a computer to use it because you didn't have a smartphone, because smartphones didn't come out until 07, which was the year I graduated from high school. Wallow said he was born in 92. So you still came early. So you did experience the 90s, but you would definitely more so remember the early 2000s. Asiatic said class of 2002. Oh yeah, you definitely remember the 90s. You was 18 in 2002, so you definitely remember it. Ricky said born 2000. Wallow don't feel too bad. Ricky missed the whole 90s. He was born in 2000. KG said born in 85. So KG, you definitely remember it. Class of 03. So you graduated the year I was going into high school. Yeah, Ricky said my parents was adults in the 90s, said things were cheaper and easier to get. Yeah, it was cheaper. Gas was very cheap back then. As a matter of fact, I was working last night and it was 90s night. And they said the average price of gas back in 1993 was $1.17 per gallon. Let that sink in. Ashley said they were born in 93. Jennifer said class of 97. Hey, what's going on, West Coast? Barbara, I'm gonna have to mess with you a little bit. Miss AARP. Well, she said I was in my early 20s in the 90s. Church said, sorry, 13. So, oh, you said your sister was born in 91. Oh, Ozzy said they were born in 75. Okay, so that makes sense. Well, breakdancing, brother man, that's more 80s. That's more early 80s. KG said rent was $400 a month. Ms. Nisi said she was in her late 20s. Scoop said he graduated in 1987, which was 2 years before I was born. Michael said their first apartment was $300 a month for a one bedroom. See, that nowadays that's unheard of. And that doesn't even matter the size of the apartment complex, even if it is a one bedroom. Brian said that they were born in 78. Dimpleface graduated the year I was born in 1989. That is a good point. The Black Samurai said the 90s were great. It was the last era of Black TV dads. Actually, I will give you the early 2000s because you still had shows like 101 with Flex and Kyla Pratt. And then you also had My Wife and Kids with Damon Wayans. After that, I think that's when you can say, the Bernie Mac show was another one. Even though he wasn't their dad, he was still a father figure. Jonathan said he was born in 1985, class of 03. Also, Jonathan, you and KG are the same age. Sydney said, what college should I go to? I went to Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina. Ironically, that's the same college my mother went to. And I remember the day that she told me, she said, why don't you apply to Benedict College? And I literally looked at her to say, and I said just like this, the school you went to? She said, why you got to say it like that? Because in my mind, it wasn't the thing of, I don't want to go to the same school my mother went to, but I'm glad that I did. It was one of the best collegiate experience I ever had. If I could go back and do it all again, I wouldn't change a thing. PG said my first apartment rent was $500 and it was huge. The good days. Sydney said they were born in 94. Church said, I remember when it was $1.25 a gallon in Los Angeles. Whew! Well, we know that's not the same anymore. And take it from somebody who went to LA a couple years ago and gas was literally $6 a gallon. Hold up, PG. What you know about? Well, you know what you live down in NC, so you would probably know what Benedict is. Scoop said I had a 2-bedroom in 89 in Cali and the rent was $350. See, this is how you know times have changed because those prices are not like that anymore. And that's just about anywhere you go, especially in Cali. Brother man said snacks used to be 5 and 10 cents. Listen, brother man, you just unlocked Pandora's box for me with that one. I remember as a kid how much you could get from the store with $1. back in the day, you could rack up and leave out with a bag full of stuff with $1 back in the day. AW1, he says that both of your parents graduated from college. Well, my mom, she went to college. My dad went to the military. Y'all remember the cigarette candy, the chalk candy, any of those candies you can get from the store back then? We used to always take trips to the store because it was on our way to school. We would walk there. We would get a whole bunch of stuff. Lasted a whole day. All right, Miss Nisa, I'll drop the link. Black Anna says, I was stationed at Fort Jackson back in the 90s. I used to kick it at Benedict and Allen. See, I'm familiar with Fort Jackson. I actually been to Fort Jackson's base because I had it was for a class and we went to the base. And I think Fort Jackson is about 45, maybe about nearly an hour away, maybe 30 at the least away from the campus. What's going on, Miss Nisi?
Good evening, Tori and family in the chat. I was sitting here remembering the 90s. That was the golden era. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
I just got out of the military, had my son in April. I was 27. Still rocking my jerry curl. Yeah, buddy. Good times. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got out the military, I was still stationed in North Carolina, Fort Bragg. Gas was 99 cents a gallon.
Mm.
Yep, this is after the Gulf War.
And that's back when you could fill your gas up on it like at least maybe $5.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I tell you, and Different World was my show.
Mine too.
Oh, it's back on Netflix now.
Mm-hmm.
And please be ready for next Friday. You know what next Friday is.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually ready for next Tuesday and next Friday or next Thursday. However you want to put it. Yeah, but I am.
Now, what's on Tuesday?
Daredevil.
Oh, I don't watch that.
I kind of figured that.
Yeah. They've been showing plenty of, they've been dropping clips on the Stars app on YouTube all this week. So I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to see Unique.
Oh, you and about 99% of the female population who watched that show.
7x7 Raising Canaan will be back on Stars March the 7th. And I will be up at midnight to watch it. All right, that's all I got. You have a blessed weekend, and I will see you on Sunday.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, shout out to Hurricane Nisi for coming up. But yeah, the 90s. Nothing like it. And I highly suggest that if you have kids that are born in this era, to show them what this era had to offer, because it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff that went on. It was a lot of good things. Of course, it was some bad things, but that's what it is in every era. But now what I would highly suggest y'all do is, if y'all ever just feel bored, go on to YouTube and just type in not high school in the 90s, and they break it down even by year or do class of so and so. I'm telling you, they were vlogging back then. They just didn't call it that, and they didn't have anywhere to put it. But then when YouTube came about, they converted their tapes digitally and then uploaded it to YouTube. I saw a video online where it was these guys back in 1991 who literally recorded themselves like watching Whitney Houston do the national anthem, like as a fresh new thing. And then they uploaded it up, or whoever got a hold of it uploaded it to YouTube years ago. And it's like, wow, it's like looking in a time capsule, because while you have people who react to it now who may not have seen it because they weren't around back then, you have a video of these three black men gathered around a small box TV watching this woman perform the national anthem, not realizing she was going to give the best rendition of this song. Church, what's going on? Church, can you hear me? It sounds like you're driving. Church, I have no idea what's going on with you. Yeah, try to get to an area where it's not a lot of background noise. I don't know what was going on. You thought it sounded like you was going through a grinder. Are you good now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Blessings to you, family. Blessings to the chat. Yeah, man, I don't know what's be going on with it's like they be targeting me exclusively when I jump up. But shout out to you, family. Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. 99, I was 13 years old, man, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I seen the 90s and I seen the 2000s, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The 2000s was something that the 90s probably, excuse me, let me rephrase that. The 90s was something that the 2000s tried to be like but never achieved, because the 90s was just so pure. Within the 2000s, we start seeing all the tip drills and all that other stuff start to surface. But in the 90s, everybody just had, and I used to promote this all the time, everybody was just so god dang wholesome, right? Like every video, you don't see no weave, you got all these beautiful hairstyles and things like that. So I hold the 90s dear to my heart. That's just me though, but I also wanted to ask you, Tori, because I just did a broadcast about this earlier. They tried to link Michael Jackson to the Epstein list.
Church going through the matrix right now. But I kind of heard what you said at the end. I don't believe it. But then again, they're doing the thing where they're running him through the ringer, and the man's been gone for almost 16 years. What else is new? They're trying to do the whole Leaving Neverland Part 2 crap again. Listen, I'm not trying to see anything else about Michael Jackson until that biopic comes out at the end of the year. That's pretty much it. But I appreciate you coming up, Church, because it sounds like you just went into a dead space. I got a question. Well, since the hair thing came up, I got a question for the ladies in the chat. Did y'all wear y'all braids like Brandy back in the day? Because she had so many variations of braids back in the day that it wasn't just one particular style. So did y'all have y'all hair like hers back in the day? Especially like when she was on Moesha and stuff, and she always had that different style. For the women that did wear braids. Seven said I wore braids all the time. Brandy was it. I knew it was some girls that who wanted to get braids back then, but their mothers probably didn't get it because they was like, it's too expensive. Oh, one of my digital aunties. What's going on, PG?
Hi, Tori. Hi, everyone. You know, I love a good hair conversation, okay? But to answer your question about Brandy, she was the GOAT, when it came to braids. And I moved down to the South when I was 12. So before then, I would go, and I know this may not be PC, but we went to the Africans in New York to get our hair braided. And the experience is so daunting. We didn't go too often because it hurts so darn much.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about like they braid really really tight.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about like so tight to the point where you can damn near see your thoughts.
No, yeah. The veins be popping out. You praying for your edges, like it's a whole situation. But yes, Brandy was definitely a trendsetter in the 90s. We all wanted to rock our braids like Brandy. And then, we had, like I said, the beloved French rolls and the finger waves. Like it was a movement in the 90s. I'm not even gonna hold you.
Yeah, I know back then, like they were, and the thing is, the advertising was interesting because they would put the pictures on the box, and it's like, they be like, can you make me look like that on the box? I want to look like that on the box.
The Just For Me perms. Oh man. I wish I could find it, but I mean, there's no way I probably can. But I was in a hair magazine when I was like 7. And you couldn't tell me nothing. Okay, I went to school that next day. You would have thought I was conceited. I don't know what. I saw the picture once, but I wish I could find it. But yes, the 90s was so pure. And if women did wear weaves and wigs, it was far and few in between. And you probably didn't really notice it, as much as what's going on now.
Yeah.
But the 90s. What was your favorite hairstyle to see on a girl back then?
I would say, of course, I did like seeing the girls with the braids. Because I saw that a lot, especially when I was in elementary school. I saw girls with, and they always had, and I think it was because they had different variations of braids. It wasn't just one particular style of braid. I used to like the craziest one I used to see, and I'm laughing because I can see it right now, was how the women, they had the hair and it kind of had, it was like, how Aaliyah had the swoop, Aaliyah had the swoop, but theirs was like, it was a swoop, but it almost looked like they had tiger claws going across their, I'm like, how do you see? I'm like, how do you look? And it's like, how are you able to see through? No, not tiger claws. It almost looked like lampshades. How are you able to see through those lampshades?
Oh, I had that. It was the scene when Craig's sister from Friday, when she was over there sleeping all pretty. Like I had so many nights and days at school where I was tired because I was up trying to fix my hair in the middle of the night because I didn't want to sleep too hard. You can't mess up that hair, man. You can't mess it up. It was more of an art back then. I feel like now it's easier. You can, don't get me wrong. I love me a good sew-in, but there's not too much it's still some diversity out there, but I just felt that our creativity was on cloud 9, especially with the hair shows and all that stuff too.
Yeah, like I said, and that's why I was telling people. I said, if you want to just go see like what you just said, mentioning hair shows, just go and go on YouTube and just type in 1990s black hair shows and look at the creativity that they put into it, because that was an art form. And what they did and what they were doing with the women's hair back in the day and what they was able to create, it's just like that. Now you see why they charge the way that they do, because that's a lot of time that they got to put into that. They're standing on their feet for hours. I'm sure they probably about to get carpal tunnel in their wrists. So it takes a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it was the love too of the art. Yeah, it was different, and especially now it's so different. I'm not sure how much you know about the trials and tribulations of going to a beautician or getting your hair done, but the landscape has changed. You got to go online, book an appointment, put a deposit down. You got all these stipulations. Like it's a whole thing.
Because I remember when my mother, back in the day, back in ironically the 90s, it was a person she actually used to go to, but the person didn't work inside of a shop. She went to her house.
Yeah.
And and like my dad would take her. I would go with them, and because they knew each other, they had kids, so I would just play with them while my mother would sit there and get her hair done. And she would go there maybe every 2 Fridays. Every 2 Fridays, she was always over there. But it was also funny because my mother it was another person that worked with my mom. They were much younger, and she said her and her friend who also worked there around the same age, every week, every Friday when they got off, they would get in that car. They would drive 45 minutes to Baltimore to get their hair done and come back with a new color every week.
Wow, that's dedication.
Think of without going to that extreme, but think of the movie Babs.
I was thinking about that.
Without going to that extreme, like they weren't having the booyah in their hair or anything like that. But that's how they were. They would go up there at the Baltimore every week to get a new hairstyle and come back with a new color every week.
Wow. And it probably cost $20.
Probably they took their check and they went there to their salon and got their hair done every week.
Wow. It was easier back then, yeah. But
yeah,
I just wanted to come on and say hey, and
all right. I appreciate you coming up.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, shout out to PG for coming up. I appreciate that. I like these kinds of conversations. But yeah, like I said, the 90s. Again, nothing like it. See, the type of stories that we're sharing right now, these are some great stories, y'all. Seven said Baltimore was a hair town. It was. A lot of hair shows happened in Baltimore. I may not have gone clearly, but Baltimore definitely was like a hair capital at one point in time, for sure. Anywhere else, you probably had to go down, like really down south. But Baltimore definitely was really known for a lot of people going to get their hair done. And see, with me, I got hair now, so I go there and I probably go like once a month to get my hair braided or whatever it is that I'm getting done. As a matter of fact, I'll be going in about a couple weeks. And so when PG came up here and said about making your appointments online, she's not lying. Like that's how it is nowadays when you got to like make appointments. Is online. Even when I get my lineup, with that one I text my barber for that one. Val said I used to go to Philly to get my hair done. Well, now that we're on that subject, and I should have asked PG when she was still up here. To the ladies in the chat, and I actually learned about this when I was in college, so this is like more early 2000s for me. I used to always hear, and maybe it was back in the 90s, I'm not sure. What was it with a lot of women going to the Dominican? That's what another thing I always heard back in the day, like years ago, especially when I was in undergrad, girls saying, I'm going to get my hair done by the Dominican. And when they say the Dominican, they're talking about the Dominican hairstylist. So I kind of figured that, Seven. You said that's more of a new thing. And she said, and they tear your hair up. Yeah, I remember I had heard one time, they said one of them, they said you got to watch them because they might mess around and put a perm in your head. Carla said they did a hard silk press. Oh, Seven, what's going on?
Hey, Torian in chat. So the Dominicans is something really new. They really came about in the 2000s. I mean, I'm from New York originally, so we knew about the Dominicans. I never went to them because they tear your hair up. Now I hear they put like perms in some of like the conditioner.
That's what I heard. That's what I was mentioning. I said that sometimes you gotta, like, from what I've heard from women that said you gotta watch it with them because they might sneak a perm in there.
Mm-hmm. But they were, a lot of people when they came to Maryland would be like, oh, well, they had similar hair to ours. Puerto Ricans, a lot of them too, and so they would go to them because they're a lot cheaper. Now, you know, Baltimore is a hair state. Like even them girls that's on that housewife show, Potomac Housewives, a lot of them, what's her name? Whatever, I can't think of the girl name, but she started off as a hairstylist. Hairstylists get money here. They go over to LA, Georgia, Charlotte, and start flying out because they are really good at what they do. So they're expensive. You know, I know what girl was charging like $600 for a sew-in, you know, and that's not including the hair. So, you know, they get money. So a lot of times they be like, oh, I'm gonna go to Dominicans, but they weren't familiar with them tearing up their hair. And so they started going to them.
Oh.
But that's all I wanted to say. I don't want to get the buzzer.
Good. I kind of figured that. That's what I heard too. I said one day, and I just, the reason I found that out about the perm thing is I just happened to go and look it up. And that's when I saw it. They said you got to watch them because they will sneak a perm in your head. when that's not what you came for. And I always said that you shouldn't be putting perms in your head anyway, especially when you don't know with black people, because that a perm was not made for our head. But anyway, y'all, I'm about to go ahead and shut this down. It's amazing how we started on one topic, a serious topic, and we transitioned into a more lighthearted discussion. I've noticed we've been doing that quite often lately, but that's fine. I like the transition, a little smooth transition. But shout out to everyone that came up and spoke. Also, shout out to Kevin for becoming a member. Shout out to Jonathan for gifting a membership. I think it was to Reparations Nation. Shout out to Val and Carla, the Troublemint Twins, for being members for 12 months. Shout out to KG for being a member for 35 months. Scoop for the super chat. Church for being a member for 8 months. Kevin, you also gave a super chat. I appreciate you. And Ozzy again for being a member for 29 months. We are about to bring this live to a close. Shout out to everyone that came through and spoke. This was a very good discussion at the beginning and even at the end, especially. Like I said, the next time I go live will be True Crime Sunday, and it's going to be on this Sunday, of course, at 12 noon. The pre-show will start at 11:40 over here, just to let people know, hey, we're about to be over on Rumble, so you know how that goes. Make sure y'all check out the video I have coming tomorrow. It's going to be about Marcus Jordan. That should be interesting. As a matter of fact, that video actually was supposed to go up like 2 days ago, but I had forgot all about it, and I had to rearrange some things, but it's going up tomorrow. But anyway, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. I will talk to you all in real time on Sunday, but of course, the premiere video for tomorrow will be going up. And with that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe, stay warm, and most importantly, above all else, be one.